All right, welcome to the weekly roundup. Parshas Bo. Let's do this. Okay, I mean not Parshas Bo. Talking about Parshas Yisro. Okay, hey, Ari, good to see you.
Ruben's on.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, I'm just gonna go, guys. Parshas Yisro. First of all, an eccentric, it's a funny parsha. This is one of the most packed, unbelievable parshas. I cannot even do it justice. It's intimidating to even speak about this parsha. This is the parsha in which we receive the Torah. Question is, why was the whole parsha named after someone as eccentric as Yisro, who was the father-in-law of Moshe? This person served every idol avodah zarah known to man, and then concluded at the end saying, "You know what? God is the best." Why would they name the Torah after him? So, the very basic, simple Hasidic idea is that Yisro represents the whole purpose in creation. That godliness, the Torah, which is God's will and desire in the form of the Torah, is put into the Torah. So the highest levels of godliness should reach the lowest levels of creation. Yisro represents a person who he was an eccentric. He was like a huge party animal. He would spend millions of dollars on a party that was extremely inappropriate. He tried all the things, whatever you needed to try: drugs, women, parties, men, whatever you can imagine. And he then became a vessel for godliness. He converted and he believed in Hashem. And it's the idea of fusing. He took the lowest possible species with the highest creation, and he molded the two. They became one entity. I'm a little hopped up on coffee. They became one entity. That's exactly what we are. We all have that in ourselves. We have, we can be very low and crass, but we also have a godly spark to ourselves. And we're trying to, the body, which represents the most physical, material, lowest object in creation, and we're trying to make it a vehicle for the most godly spiritual levels, which is the Torah. So you're a walking, talking piece of godliness. And that's what he was. That's what he represented. And that is our goal. So it is a very fitting. It is a very fitting parsha. Let's see. He had many names, but I don't really want to talk about that. Not a problem. Okay, he actually still remained an eccentric person, which is quite, a lot of us become from Bali Tshuva or we convert. Yeah, we take on a frum lifestyle and we think that's it. We're a totally different person. The answer is no, you're not. You're going to remain, the Torah is telling us you're probably going to remain the same. That even though you are able to fuse and you appreciate godliness, and sometimes not only do you appreciate it intellectually, but you'll even from time to time appreciate it emotionally, you're not a tzaddik. You're not a completely righteous person. You're not completely void of anything negative and whatnot. And that's done by design. That's what God wanted. He wanted imperfect people dealing with his Torah. Makes the relationship very real. Don't think you're going to change. Yisro famously told Moshe that if you want to marry my daughter, you have to give your firstborn child to me, and I want him to serve all of the idols in the world and be involved in the world, and then come to conclude that godliness is real, which he did. His son did, Gershom did, Moses' son, but it still had its effect. It had a very negative effect to the extent that Gershom's son Yonatan became a pagan priest, became an idol worshiper, and he didn't really believe in. He kind of did it as like a job. He didn't really believe in it, but still, he went off the beaten path. He went off the whatever. He has some pretty good yichus. My father is Moses. My grandfather is Moses, but I'm kind of doing my own thing, and we don't really know what ever happened to him. The Torah doesn't really talk about him anymore. The Torah doesn't talk about him at all. Actually, the Torah doesn't even talk about Moses' children. And the reason why the Torah doesn't talk about Moses' children, one of the answers given, according to the Gemara, is that Moses wasn't really around. The whole year that he was in Mitzrayim, in Egypt, fighting Pharaoh, his family was back in Midian, staying with the grandfather. And Moses, even once they came, Moses eventually divorced Zipporah, his wife, and he was kind of estranged from his children, which we spoke about in the past. He wasn't involved, and the children were, they kind of did whatever. They went off the path. Perhaps they were angry. That's why you'll never see in the Torah, be like Moses. The Torah doesn't say be like Moses. Now you have this Moses within you, this godly entity. But the Torah doesn't say be like Moses. The Torah says be like Aaron. Aaron was very much connected to his family, very much connected with people. He was a doer, a mover, a shaker. He was very warm. He always tried to create peace. He created an environment. That's our goal. Now, when Yisro came, he saw that Moses was judging all the people by himself. Two people would come and they had a dispute, whatever. He found that gold. I found that gold. It's my gold, whatever it is. And Moses never stopped day and night. He was a judge. And Yisro said, this is unattainable. You can't do this. People can't act like this. Like when you pass away, there's going to be a judge. A judge can't sit day and night. They don't have this godliness. This is like abnormal. You can't do this. You have to set up judges. So you have higher courts and lower courts that deal with different issues. And Moses says, yeah, that's a great idea. I should do that. And here we have the three systems of courts. We have three types of courts systems in Judaism. We have the Beis Din, which is a court of three, which we still have today, that deal with tort law and contracts. So nowadays, if you want to get married, you need a ksuba. You can go to the Beis Din if you want to convert. If you have a disagreement with somebody else, in matters of tort like money problems, contract issues, you go to the court of three. And then the court of 23, which we don't have anymore, that ended. The Romans ended that. That was with capital, actually, before the destruction of the temple. That's with capital punishment. So we don't have capital punishment anymore, obviously, as well as declaring the new moon. No, that's the Sanhedrin. No, that's the Sanhedrin. Yeah. Capital punishment that ended. The court of 23, and then you have the court of 71, which is sort of like whatever they sign off on going to war, new laws, new halachas. I'm sorry, new mitzvahs. If there's ever going to be like a rabbinic mitzvah, that is, if there's a rabbinic mitzvah, so they're the ones that do that. Now, interestingly enough, Rashi holds that this whole episode of Yisro coming takes place after the giving of the Torah. The Torah is not a history book. It's not in It's not in the chronological order. Unlike the Ramban Nachman that Yisro holds that it is, and he bends over backwards, showing how it really the Torah is in chronological order. But Rashi holds, as well as the Rambam and the Rashba, most of the sages hold that the Torah is not in chronological order. We said famously, we will do and we will listen. Let me just open it up over here. Okay. Opening up the all the things. So what brought Yisro to come? Rashi tells us what brought him to come and see what's going on with his son-in-law, besides bringing the wife and the kids. He heard about all the miracles. He heard all about the 10 plagues that happened in Egypt. He heard about the splitting of the sea. And he heard about the war with Amalek. There was a war at the end of last week's parsha. And he wanted to give praise to Moses and everybody and be like, hey, I'm on your side. I'm on the winning team. One of the miracles with the splitting of the sea was not only did that sea split, but all the waters in the world split. That's so everyone kind of was like, what's that about? And there was a big murmur, and that's how everybody started talking. How did this happen? What was it? And the word spread quickly that it was God, the God of the Hebrews, was the one that did it, and they're marching towards Israel, the land of Canaan, and of course everyone in the land of Canaan was freaking out because they're like, this is abnormal. Yeah, it says that Yisro goes back. Yisro ended up going back after he spoke to Moshe. He went back to Midian to convert people, to tell people about Hashem, how there's only one God. And that's what he ended up doing. Now, we go to the giving 6 weeks after the Jewish people leave Egypt, 5 weeks or so. We're counting for 49 days. So we left Egypt counting 49 days, and we're about to receive the Torah on the 50th day, which we celebrate on Shavuos. Moses, about 6 days before we arrive at Mount Sinai, Moses tells us, okay, in 6 days Hashem is going to give us the Torah. It's not just going to be the giving of the Torah. It's going to be the whole world is going to shift, which I'll explain about in a second. Everyone's got to stay away from their wives. You got to be pure. So no like discharges or anything like that. Nobody touched the mountain. You touch the mountain, you die. Stay away from the mountain. He made a fence around the mountain. And there was a day of rest. They rested for a few days. And there's a big disagreement in the Gemara as to how many days did the Jewish people. We don't exactly know which day of the month of Sivan the Torah was given. Was it given on the 5th day of Sivan, or was it given on the 6th day of Sivan? We know the Torah was given on Shabbos, but we don't know whether it was on the 5th day or the 6th day of Sivan, which is a famous Gemara, which Rabbi Shneur has done twice already, because it's not sure whether Moshe added an extra day. Hashem said you're going to rest for 5 days, or there's a 5-day preparation, and Moshe added he added an extra day. But did he start that day from the day they arrived, or did he start that extra day from the next day? So that's the big machlokus in the Gemara, and we don't really know. It's left as a machlokus. We celebrate it on the 6th. That is, Shavuos is on the 6th. So if you go to Israel, it's on the 6th day of what's it called, of Sivan. Now, a lot of famous things happen over here. The Torah mentions, like in today's Aliyah, they traveled from the city of Refidim, and then they ended up at Mount Sinai. Now, why does it tell us the Torah? The Torah usually just says where we arrived. So it says the Jewish people left Egypt and they arrived to Sukkos. Then they went to Refidim. Then they went to Har Sinai. But it doesn't say that. It says they went from Refidim. The Jewish people went to Refidim, and then they traveled from Refidim to Har Sinai. Why would the Torah? It's out of character to say, we already know where you were. We saw where you ended up. Why do you have to mention again where you left? It's like, I went to New York City, and then I went to New Jersey, and then from New Jersey I went to Montreal, and you don't need to say that. And the Torah was telling us that there was a big fight that happened. The Jewish people got into a little bit of a fight amongst themselves, which is bizarre. Why is it bizarre? Because the Jewish people were counting down the days until the receiving of the Torah. We were so excited to receive the Torah and have a revelation of godliness that we were counting down the days. 49, 48, 47, 46, yeah. When you're very excited about something, you're very joyful about something, things don't bother you. You're willing, you have a goal in mind, you're in a good mood. That's why you should look forward to something every day. It's a classic idea. Because then big problems become small problems, and you really have no problems, and you're always in a good mood. You're not in the mood for fighting because you're like, I got a goal and I'm having a good time, and everything will be fine. Yeah, if you know like something really exciting is about to happen. So it doesn't make sense that they got into a fight. Why did they get into a fight? Hashem did it on purpose. Hashem purposely got us in the middle, right before we're about to go receive the Torah. We got into a little argument amongst ourselves. Well, it was actually a big argument. What was the point of that? Because fighting internal conflict might seem negative, and it is negative. A conflict is in and of itself is negative. However, there's a very positive outcome that could happen from this, as opposed to everything being good and fine and hunky-dory all the time. Because the proper way to make up for a fight is that the relationship should be even stronger than it was before. The bonds, you cut a rope, and then you can tie the rope becomes smaller. The two ends come closer together, and they become even stronger, even more difficult to break. And Hashem wanted us to go to a new level of our relationship with each other and with Hashem. But really, the only way to get closer to Hashem is by we should be closer with each other, another person, another Jew. And that's why we have this argument. And then as a teitzah, as an outcome of that, it says when the Jewish people the Jewish people came to Mount Sinai, it doesn't say that they came and they encamped there. It says they came and he encamped there in the singular form. Rashi tells us, Ki ish echad b'lev echad, from the Gemara, we were there like one person with one heart. We were never in our lives were we as united as in that moment. And never did we reach that level. Again, arguably though, Purim was a time that we were like that. The Gemara gets into it and says basically on Purim we were like that. And actually Purim is the completion of the giving of the Torah. Because it was in that period of time when we camped at Mount Sinai and God asked us, would you like the Torah? We didn't ask what was in it, tell us about it. We said, Naaseh v'nishma. We'll do whatever it says and then we'll understand. V'nishma. It doesn't say Naaseh v'nira, by the way. It doesn't say we will do and then we will see. It says we will listen. Listening requires much more yagia, much more effort. The Greeks, one of their big problems with the Jewish people was, or this is what Hellenism was about. If I don't see it, I don't believe it. If I can't touch, taste, and feel it, it's not real. And you have to be able to see it. Seeing is believing. And the Jewish people say, no, hearing is believing. Shema Yisrael. We're a people of hearing. That we have to put in extra effort. We're willing to dig a little bit deeper to understand. We're not shallow people. We try to go below the surface. So it says Naaseh v'nishma, which nishma means we will hear, we will try to understand. We will spend a lifetime trying to understand. And we will fulfill that promise of we will do whatever it says really on Purim. Because up until the destruction of the first temple, from the period of time we received the Torah, until the destruction of the first temple, 500 BCE or so, give or take, 478 BCE. Somebody check that for me. We all lived together, and life was easy. It was like a shtetl. I mean, of course, we had fights and conflicts, but for the most part, we all lived together. We were autonomous. We had our own monarchy, and we had some bad kings, good kings, but we could always keep our Judaism for the most part. It wasn't until we went in Purim, we went to Babylonia, where we completely threw off. We were so in society. We didn't care about really learning Torah. We were just part of the Persians. We acted like them, and life was really good. And even the decree against killing all the Jewish people by Haman was only if you said, I'm a Jew. But if you said, you know what, I'm not a Jew anymore, then the decree wasn't on you. Didn't matter. But the Alter Rebbe's chiddush, novelty about the story of Purim, is that at that point in time, the Jewish people said, I'm not giving up my. You're right. Maybe I just ate a cheeseburger with bacon on it, a number 3 at Wendy's, whatever, with extra ranch on my French fries. But I'm not willing to give up the fact that I'm a Jew. I mean, however I've acted and whatever I've said in the past. You're right. I've done that, and you know what? I might continue to act like that even after this. But I'm not willing to give up the fact that I'm a Jew. No, I'm a Jew. I'm a Jew. No matter what, I'm a Jew. And we acted on it. We acted on in a situation where it's shown forth that it's something that is at our core. That's considered the time that we actually fulfilled the giving of the Torah by doing when it wasn't so easy. And then we are now spending a lifetime trying to understand and appreciate godliness. It's a never-ending struggle. The Jewish people, God says you are a mamlechas kohanim, you are a priestly nation. This is where God says you are a chosen nation. You could say, chosen to carry out my mission. That is, you're chosen to do that, which is a great schos, a great merit. And we're given a special ability. We're given something very special. The Jewish people are not the Hebrews. We're Hebrews, basically. We're just children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But we're not Jewish. We're not a Jewish nation. We're just a bunch of tribes, and we have the same great-grandfather, but we're not a nation. And this is when God is going to make us a nation. We got a bris, everybody who needed a bris milah got a bris milah. And God completely changed the order, the way the world operates. Before anything spiritual remained spiritual, the spiritual world remained spiritual, and the physical world remained physical. And now only one time, there's from time to time you can have a spiritual experience, but then as soon as that spiritual experience is done, you go back to the material world. Now God says the physical items themselves are the spiritual items. You can access the spirituality within the physical item. That's why a mezuzah forever has holiness. Tefillin, Torah, tzitzit, all these different things. They are pieces of spiritual godliness. And same thing with us. The body became holy. That's the idea. The Jewish body, which was like every other body in the world, became holy. You can access its godly entity. That's why when a person converts, one of the reasons is that it's all a physical thing. You got to get a bris, you got to go to the mikvah, because the body now becomes accessible. The godliness within the body becomes accessible. It could express itself. So the whole world changed. Some of the miracles that happened during that period of time, obviously, were we saw thunder and we heard lightning. It says there was no echo when God spoke. There was no echo. Why? Because what's the idea of an echo? An echo is sound comes and it bounces off something, obstruction. It hits an obstruction and then it bounces back off. There was no obstruction. When God spoke, it was so true that everything absorbed it. It was given on Mount Sinai. Mount Sinai is a mountain, but it's not the biggest mountain. Why not the biggest mountain? Seemingly, it should have been on the most beautiful, biggest, tremendous mountain. The Torah was teaching us that in order to receive the Torah, you have to know who you are and your strengths, that you are a mountain, but you also know you're not the greatest. You're not the best. You're never going to be the best at learning Torah. You're never going to be the best at having great character traits. You're never going to be the best at running a mile. Someone's gonna break it. But so you should know your weaknesses as well. That's true humility, knowing your weaknesses, but also knowing your strengths. You have to be a mountain, but you're not the tallest mountain. You have to have humility. In order to have a relationship with somebody else, you have to be humble. You have to get yourself out of the way, obviously, right? We slept in. We slept in. All of a sudden, everyone sleeping, which was a great miracle. It just doesn't make any sense because there were babies there. Babies don't sleep. Yeah, there were newborns. How newborns got to be fed every 2 hours. Yeah, technically, right? But Hashem made it so that we slept the entire night. Why? So that we would wake up with humility. We'd feel kind of bad. We would be a little bit broken, which is a good thing, so that you'd be able to receive the Torah. You get your ego out of the way. We were going to wake up and be like, oh, now we're going to become this awesome nation and we're going to be unstoppable. No, you're not perfect. You're not perfect, and I've done that by design.
Rabbi.
Yeah.
You think it's because they stayed up late doing the tikkun?
That's my excuse why I don't listen to the Torah reading Shavuos day. Oh, I was up last night doing tikkun. I don't even do tikkun, actually. I listen to all the lectures. Yeah. Okay. Very good. Okay, we got the 10 commandments, which I believe Rabbi Schneider did a class on. These are not the most fun. These are not the most important commandments in all of the Torah, right? We know this, but these are fundamental. These are fundamental commandments. Just to point out a couple things over here. It doesn't say it doesn't say do not kill. It says do not murder, right? That's a big misconception. You are allowed to kill, especially if someone's coming after you. You have a mitzvah to kill them. If someone's coming after your family or your friend, you have an obligation to kill them. Jealousy is one of them, as Charlie Munger, may he rest his soul, would say. I never understood jealousy because it was one of the 7 sins that you had no benefit from. There's no time for jealousy. Jealousy makes no sense because you're not benefiting at all. Okay, not committing adultery, obviously, and bearing false witness, which means if you know something happened and the court, a lot of people say you got to get involved in things. Yeah, if the court, something happened and you witnessed it and the court is trying to find witnesses to the crime, you can't say, you know what, I just want to stay out of it. I don't want to get involved. No, you're not allowed to do that, says the Torah. You have to get involved because justice is the foundation of a functioning society. So there has to be justice. People have to feel safe, and there are consequences to actions. Now, classic idea: which is one of my favorite ideas. Well, there's a lot of things to talk about, but the Torah, we received the Torah. Yeah, we saw these revelations. We were all there, says the Zohar. All of us were there. All of our souls were there. And 40 days later, we're going to have the sin of the golden calf. Yeah, the same Torah that says, don't serve out of the idols, and if you do, I will kill you. How could it be that 40 days later, we go ahead and serve Avodah Zarah? Okay, we'll talk about that when the time comes, exactly what did they do and who was involved, and it was really a small percentage. But nevertheless, we were all involved to some degree in serving idols. The Torah is trying to tell us that inspiration, even a godly revelation, is not going to change you. You're not going to change. Real change must come within. My favorite joke, one of my favorite jokes, a monk comes and to New York City to buy a hot dog, and he gets a hot dog with everything in it, and the monk gives the $20 for a $2 hot dog. He gives it to the vendor, and the vendor closes the drawer, and the monk says, "Where's my change?" And the vendor says, "Change must come from within." I think there was more to that joke, but anyway, real change comes within. It's a lifetime of change. That we might say, God, show me your face, give me a revelation. I want to see things clearly, and we do, we really do. But God is also saying it's not gonna change you. It's an override of the system. It's all this that I did. I don't do it to try to inspire you. I do it because it needs to be done. But don't think the reason why you don't see me so openly right now is because I need you to change from within. That's how the real relationship is going to happen. It's not about what I give you and what I'm giving you and what I'm not getting and what I don't have and what I do have. You have to learn to appreciate the other from your own understanding. Real change comes from within. So there's not going to be another giving of the Torah because God says you don't need another giving of the Torah. It's not gonna change anything. Okay. I think it's about. Anybody have any questions?
No, Rabbi, I agree a lot with it. Like one of it is like the Genesis 2:7, where it says that we all have the spark of Hashem when He created Adam and He breathed into him.
Yeah.
And the other one,
when like when we create the midos, we work on our midos. Like even if we lose the Torah, like there was a rabbi that forgot the Torah twice, but he has such great midos, he got it back.
Very nice, beautiful.
Because
that
even though, let's per se, like even if we come back because of our previous life, we didn't behave correctly, and we reincarnate as a goy or as something else. We can always come back to Hashem if we have great midos, and Hashem will direct us. It will guide our life closer to Him again.
That's right. Exactly. Beautiful. Exactly. Tshuva. That's why. Exactly. You can always, no matter where you roam, you can always come back home. Classic song. All right. Rabbi Weinberg did just get back to me. I think he's back in shul, so I'll see if he wants to give a class. I'll let you guys know. Yeah, Vilma, do you have a question?
No, thank you. I was clapping.
Oh, clapping. Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay. Wow, I feel like I haven't given this class a long time. It's good to try to get back on track. All right, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
See you. Be well.